So no agreement with the EU, but
Nigerian Bar Association has condemned the alleged beating and abuse of one of its members, Saminu Nailoka, by police officers attached to the Damagu Divisional Police Headquarters in Fune local government area of Yobe State. The association said the incident occurred on 26. Lawyer visited the police station to represent custody. In a petition signed in Damaturu by the chairman of the NBA Damaturu branch, Khalil, the association described the alleged assault as a violation of constitutional rights and an attack on the administration of justice. The NBA alleged that the divisional police officer, CSP Mohammed Bafar, and other officers, subjected the lawyer to physical assault, degrading treatment, and destruction of his personal property while he was carrying out his professional duties. The association warned that interference with a lawyer's lawful duties undermines the rule of law and public confidence in the justice system. It demanded an immediate and transparent investigation, suspension of any officers found culpable, and prosecution where necessary in line with the Nigeria Police Act. Reacting to the developments, the police public relations officer in the state, SP Dungus Abdul Karim, confirmed the incident and said investigations were ongoing, adding that the Commissioner of Police is meeting with NBA officials over the matter. Once again, I would love to welcome you on the show, Mr. Kaduba Bari. So good to have you join us today. Thank you for joining us. Once again, Mr. Kaduba Bari, I would love to welcome you. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of GAPS.
Very much for having me.
Thank you. So, based on the first story that we just read, I'd love to ask, what does the alleged assault on lawyer, Saminu, by officers of the Nigeria Police Force say about respect for the rule of law, especially within security agencies?
Basically, what that tells the general public is that lawyers are meant to be disrespected, and even in the course of dispensing their duties, anything and everything can happen to them. If this kind of situation took place in a police station where the lawyer was carrying out his professional duty of going to, someone who is going to defend, this is the kind of case we should not be having, when those who are meant to be protecting are those who are supporting. If a lawyer cannot be kept safe, cannot be guarded in a situation where, he's dispensing his equal duties, I wonder who will carry out that responsibility. This kind of situation should be unheard of, especially in our society, where we expect that officers of the law should be well versed with what it means to discharge their duties and to aid the dispensation of the rule of law instead of the other way around, just like we have in this kind of scenario.
All right.
It is nothing admirable at all.
So basically on the issue of abuse of power, because apparently we're quite aware that, the lawyer was abused by police officers. So how can authorities ensure that, lawyers are protected while carrying out their professional duties about or around police stations or within police offices?
First of all, if I'm to recommend how, you know, legal practitioners or people who act in interest of others as legal professionals, like this, are to be protected, one of the things I'll say is that the officials, police officials in this context, should be well versed or educated on how and what it means for them to protect officials, who are carrying out duties socially, to better the lives of others. People who are professionals like this, if anything at all could be done as a basis for their protection, it would be for the education of basic, officers who will be dispensing their duties around. I don't know what else transpired in that station, right? But what we have in the news is police officers beating and assaulting this police officer. So if there was a scenario where they know the impact or what should be the consequence of what they've done, I believe this kind of situation would have been eliminated. So people, officers, knowing what it is, that should be their duty in ensuring that legal officials are protected would be something that would go a long way in ensuring that people are protected, especially in a domain of a police station. So, because who else could have come there to protect the officer if the officer is not, secure, if the lawyer now is not secure in somewhere as a police station? What would have been this case if he were to be in the ghetto? So, basic education of officers, police officers in this context would go a long way in ensuring that lawyers are protected when carrying out their duties.
All right, you talked about consequences, and there's a saying or a regular saying of if one is not used as an example, the others will not learn. What do you think should be the disciplinary measures that should be taken, on if eventually it's been found that this is actually on the police's, the police is at fault, rather, what do you think should be the disciplinary measure for this incident or this assault that was carried out on the lawyer?
Thank you for that question. Interestingly, the Nigeria Police Act already spells out what should be done in different scenarios, especially in terms of dealing with situations like this. So one of the things it spells out in this act is that the officials who are found to be culprits are meant to undergo suspension and even like a reduction in rank should they be found to be the core,
the culprit, yes.
Culprits in this kind of situation, they are meant to be stripped in rank, reduced in rank, or even a case of dismissal in a case where the officer is unavoidably, guilty or cannot be proven otherwise. So the law already states what is to be done in situations like this, which is embedded in the Nigeria Police Act. So in this kind of situation, since it is already under investigation, once the officials that were involved are tracked down, any of these three are things that could be done to them. Either they are dismissed, or that they are suspended, or let's say they are reduced in rank just so they learn their lessons.
Thank you very much for your contribution on that story.
Yeah, thank you.
So on to the next story that we have. It says federal government has unveiled a $552 million Hope for Quality Basic Education for All program aimed at accelerating reforms in Nigeria's basic education sector. A statement issued on Tuesday in Abuja by Boriowo Folashade, Director of Press and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Education, adding that the initiative facilitates the ministry is designed to improve our foundational learning, expand access to quality basic education, and strengthen education systems across participating states. He described the development as a defining moment in Nigeria's education transformation, stressing that the activation of the funding marked a record in the country's education financing. According to him, 3.5 trillion naira was allocated to the sector in the 2026 fiscal year, describing it as the highest allocation to date, adding that the federal allocation is complemented by increased funding at the sub-national level to address local priorities and targeted interventions. The initiative is expected to improve foundational learning outcomes, expand equitable access to quality basic education, and strengthen institutional capacity and accountability across participating states. Now, this $552 million program sounds very promising, Mr. Kaduba Baribo. How will ordinary Nigerians, especially pupils in public primary schools, actually benefit from this initiative?
Basically, I believe this amount was given just so that basic classroom facilities could be provided. More schools are built in areas, rural areas where children have little or no access to education. So in this context, right now, especially in our present day, one of the things that this fund will help system achieve is building of basic amenities, school facilities in this context, and ensuring that these facilities are well equipped, and as well as being able to bring them the right to fund the payment of teachers that would take this education, would be the ones responsible for education being carried out in these settings. So making it a state-of-the-art facility, improving the learning conditions are part of the things that I believe that this fund is set out to achieve. So generally, it will be something that the local people get to enjoy all the more, especially those that are just last participants.
All right. So there's always been issues of foul play and mismanagement of public funds. I beg your pardon. So I would love to know what accountability measures do you think should be put in place, or monitoring systems that can be put in place to ensure that funds are transparently managed and truly it gets to intended schools and communities.
Yeah, basically this is a fund that is not just given by the federal government. It is a co-financing initiative by both the World Bank and another institution. So basically in situations like this, what usually happens is that committees that are responsible for dispensing these funds are set up. So pending when it is set up, because as at the moment, there is no publicly declared committee that should be in charge of this. And based on the fact that it is a fund that is administered by other organizations, there will be more accountability requirements, such that at the end of the day, this money that has been disbursed, there is a traceability in its allocation and utility, that at the end of the day, you will be able to account for every penny, and hopefully everybody within the system, being either the recipients or major stakeholders, are able to bring themselves to be responsible and accountable in ensuring that the funds are put to appropriate use. So with all of these things being in place, we would have less incidences of misallocation of fund, or people eloping with what was meant to benefit the system, especially in terms of basic and grassroots education.
All right, thank you very much for your contributions on that story. So let's move right on to the next story that we have. It says federal government has formally flagged off a nationwide enforcement and public enlightenment campaign on the ban of alcoholic beverages packaged in sachets and small PET and glass bottles below 200 milliliters. The joint press conference held in Abuja was organized by the National Orientation Agency in collaboration with the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. The ban, which took effect on January 1, 2026, the production, distribution and sale of alcohol in sachets and bottles smaller than 200 milliliters. And the measure is part of efforts to curb underage drinking and harmful consumption patterns. Speaking at the briefing, NAFDAC Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye said the enforcement followed years of consultations, extensions and alarming survey findings on alcohol consumption among minors, adding that discussions around regulating high concentration alcohol in sachets dates back to 2018 when industry groups raised concerns about the impacts on their businesses. According to Adeyeye, the former Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, granted the trade groups a 5-year moratorium to restructure their operations, which elapsed in February 2024, prompting NAFDAC to begin enforcement in line with its statutory mandates. This seems to be a very interesting story. My question now, Mr. Kadubabari, would be, will the sachet alcohol ban by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, would it really help reduce underage drinking in Nigeria?
Yes, I believe so. Because one of the things, major driver of underage drinking is the fact that the packaging usually comes in. So currently, we both know that sachets are very easy to carry around, and of course very accessible to young people, which is would be very much difficult to control if anyone is to control it. So when they say they are going to ban, the sale of such products and to enforce a kind of different packaging where it's going to be from 200 milliliters and above, that would reduce the consumption by young people, because one thing is alcohol drinking by underage people thrives usually in privacy, and when the size of the packaging it usually comes in is transformed, it will discourage it at the very major scale. So it's going to really discourage it somehow based on that very fact. And the fact that it is also going to be a product-centered kind of stuff and not an age thing would really discourage it, because long run, in the form in which alcohol comes, if there's something that young people can easily access or can easily carry around, at the end of the day, when you see that you're carrying almost a jerrycan-sized, alcoholic contents, or maybe you just want to have it on the go, nobody tells you to just leave it. But that's not to take away the fact that this can also be, put into smaller contents and packages, by themselves to carry around and all of that. We really believe it's going to be something that would discourage it. But somehow, let's see how it pans out.
Okay, before the inception of the sachet and all of that, we've had people by the roadside, alcohol sellers by the roadside, selling smaller bottles and stuff like that. So could banning the sachet alcohol lead to more of these illegal sales or black market of these drinks, just like we've always had before?
Yes, I believe so, because of course in that kind of economy there are wholesalers. There are people who are retailers. That's just going to increase the number of retailers that would rather sell these products in different forms. So let's say yes, there's going to be an increase in the number of people that retail these products. So at the end of the day, really hope that it reduces. But based on what we've seen and based on the proclivity of these people, and of course the consumer behavior, and of course the behavior of the sellers, we are more likely going to experience an increase in different forms of packaging, especially when it comes to retailing these items. So it might not entirely come in sachets this time around, except there are policies put in place to ensure that these products are strictly not retailed in other forms. We might not necessarily see a reduction in underage drinking. So there is still going to be a whole economy of selling these products in different forms.
Thank you very much for your contribution on that story. So for the last story that we have for today, it says Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has directed electricity distribution companies to refund a total of 20.33 billion naira to customers who paid for meters under the Meter Asset Provider Scheme. The directive containing order number NERC/2026/025 and signed by NERC Chairman Musiliu Oseni mandates this course to reimburse affected customers through energy credits over a 12-month period beginning March 1, 2026. NERC said the order became necessary after it discovered that distribution companies had failed to refund their outstanding amounts as of December 31, 2025. Under the arrangement, prepaid customers will receive reimbursement through monthly energy tokens, while postpaid users will see the refund as a credit line on their electricity bills. The Commission also directed DISCOs to establish complaint channels for affected customers and submit only compliance reports, stressing that meter refunds credit must not be used to offset existing customer debts. Now my question will be, how will the refund ordered by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission affect people's trust in electricity distribution companies?
Okay, first of all, this is a very big initiative taken by the
RC.
RC, because it is meant to boost consumer protection behavior. So one of the ways that you would see that this thing impacts other people is that, you know, they are very much customer-centric at this very moment, and people will be very much happy to have their money back. And just, it will help, like, you know, restore the trust that people have in these authorities that are dispensing their rights.
Electricity
because
and all of that.
For one thing, it shows that they are interested in the customer satisfaction. So at the end of the day, you end up having people who trust this NERC all the more.
Thank you very much. So will customers be satisfied with receiving the refund as electricity credits instead of cash? I mean, putting yourself in that shoe, would you be satisfied with receiving, you know, this refund as electricity bill or rather as cash?
Okay, if we're going to dig deeper into the contents that we already have on ground, we have a difficulty in, you know, the discourse giving back this money in cash. There is either a network issue or the funds not being able to be refunded at all. So if I were to be in the shoes of any of the people who are, you know, affected, I would prefer credits in return instead of not being able to have my money back at all. So largely, we cannot say that everybody will be dissatisfied, because at the end of the day, some other persons would prefer a situation where I'm not paying bills in the next 12 months, because that's what the situation is meant to achieve, right? In the next 12 months, I don't have to bother about bills. I'll be experiencing tokens in my meter, so I'll just be enjoying light, something I've paid for prior before this time. So if I can't get the money, I think getting the light in return is a very good trade-off, and I believe would really pacify those who are affected.
A wise decision, I think. Thank you so much, Mr. Kaduba Barry, for your contributions on these stories for today. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on Government and Public Service. So this is where we wrap it up on this edition of Government and Public Service. And once again, thank you so much to our guest, Mr. Kaduba Barry Wate. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. And we hope you have an amazing day.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. So we are open for advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product service promotion and commercials. Watch us live on www.atlanticnetwork.tv, Able TV channel 205, Limix TV platform, Ifastech platform, Apple TV, Ninja TV, Aeroco TV. Connect with us on 18 socials, subscribe, like and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network. One on Twitter, now X, at Atlantic TV Net. Remember, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Francis Neka.
The board, management, and staff of Morrison Media Group presents the 2026 Anniversary Celebration Lecture of Morrison Media Group. Theme: Media's role in shaping social change, addressing inequities, and empowering voices. Chairman Alex Ndudi Enebele, FSM, President, Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria, Chartered. Keynote speaker, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, Professor of Media and Broadcasting Communication. Panelist, Professor Chris Ochonogo, Immediate Past Head of Department, Journalism and Media Studies, University of Port Harcourt. Dr. Ijoma Tobosia, Secretary, NUJ, River State. Dr. Sarah Joe, University Orator and Associate Dean, Faculty of Communication, River State University, Port Harcourt. Dr. Ibiere Koki, Ignatius Aju University of Education, Rumolomini, Port Harcourt. Chief Host, Dr. Chinyere Igwe, Esquire, Chairman, Morrison Group. Date: Tuesday, 10th March 2026. Venue: Gate Place Hotel, Kilometer 5, East West Road, adjacent Obirikwere Flyover, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Time: 10 a.m. For more information, please call Kainde Paul Obofade 081-063-41777 or Samuel Ajinwo at 090-454-00744. Signed, Management.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU.